My dear friends, fellow Africans, today I thought I should take a few minutes and just bring you a message of hope. Obviously, with all that is happening all over the world, the whole pandemic, COVID-19, streets are empty, schools are empty, hotels are not functioning, work, offices are closed, people are working from home. You go through a lot of the streets all over the world, not just Nigeria, Africa, and it's an empty ensemble. And what this breeds is fear, pandemonium, uncertainty, anger, and uncertainty as to where we're headed with COVID-19. Incidentally, this hit me yesterday, which is why I decided to come out and say something today. Because a very good friend of mine, a medical doctor, 43-year-old man, father of 3 kids, resident in New York, who had been very helpful to me in my own medical recovery times. Something happened yesterday. About a month ago, he had sent me a message saying he was leaving his vacation spot in India and he was heading right back to New York where his family lived, because he wanted to join the frontline workers and make sure that he was there available in the hospital where he worked in Manhattan, New York, to provide medical services. And because we exchanged mails all the time, he kept, every 3 days he said to me things like getting rougher and tougher here. We're treating about 500 patients every day. We're losing some, we're keeping some, and it's very devastating for those of us who are involved in this to see people come and go and die. And then about a week ago, he finally sent me a message, said, look, in the midst of all this, I've just been diagnosed with COVID. It looks like I caught the bug, I caught the virus. But I'm staying strong, I'm going to keep working hard and see how that goes. And then about 4 days ago, I got another message saying, I hope I'm not losing this battle. Things have gotten from good to bad, bad to worse. Keep me in your prayers, Ibe, And of course, I kept praying that he recovers, because he was a gentleman who had done so much work for humanity. He was in Congo, volunteered in Congo during the Ebola virus. He volunteered in Somalia. He volunteered in Egypt during the very serious pandemics that they had there. And then yesterday, I then got a call from his family saying that he passed on yesterday morning. It was absolutely devastating for me. And this coupled with so many other lives that we've lost, including lives we've lost here locally, people who were close to us, cannot but make you despondent and a bit worried and really, really helpless. But it occurred to me that in the midst of those getting into the abyss of despair, you need to find hope to be able to enliven and lift you. And I take this opportunity to first sympathize with everybody who has lost loved ones and pray that their souls are well received by the Lord and that the families are strong enough to bear the loss. But additionally, I also pray that those who are caught up in quarantine centers and various homes right now during their recovery will recover fast, and that this testimony we'll give at the end of the day will be testimony of a lot more people, a wholesome lot more people recovering from this pandemic. I also thank the government for the yeoman's job that they've done. They've done very solid work. They reacted very quickly. They issued necessary guidelines. They've raised substantial amounts of money to try and help. And the private sector too has not been left behind. The CBN, working with private sectors, put together some muscle, financial muscle to try and help. This is what it should be. Leadership should not be left only to those in public offices. These are the times when all of us must rise and help government, help our fellow citizens to try and find a succor and solution to the problems that we have. Obviously, we also need to help the scientists amongst us, the research fellows amongst us, to begin to find a cure as quickly as possible. So today I give you a message of hope. Do not be despaired, do not worry, do not be afraid, do not give up. Things will improve, COVID will come and go, we will go back to life. Maybe not life the way we know it today, but hopefully a better life. The things that you must not do, one is that you must not get distressed and despair. Because once you do that, ailments begin to increase. I've had a friend whom I lost recently who died not of COVID, but because of other ailments, thinking he had COVID, but by the time you realize he didn't have COVID, it was gone. So you must be strong, you must fight, you must believe that life is meaningful and you must hold on to it. You must not resist lawful guidelines. You can't beat the raps, you must follow and try and help, because it's not just about keeping yourself healthy, it is also about keeping others around you healthy. You must also be a leader. You must get out yourself to lead. And leadership is not about those who are billionaires. It doesn't take you to be a billionaire to be a leader. In your own little world, who can you help within your family? Who can you help within your household? Who can you help within your community? What are you doing in the village areas? How much help are you sending from the bastion of your paid employment here? We need to be empathic. How do we empathize with our fellow individuals who are suffering, can't feed themselves, have problems, and need help? Sometimes empathy is better than money. So reach out to your neighbors who are suffering. Reach out to your lower segments of the society who are suffering and see how you can empathize with them and help, even if you can't provide money. You must be creative. How do you stay busy without being busy? Being locked down can create a lot of despair and create a lot of disillusionment and create all kinds of mental challenges. Find what games you can play, find what movies you can watch. Certainly exercise vigorously. Keep your body pumping, your health going so that you're active. Begin to think of models of businesses you will do after the pandemic is over. How will your business change? How will your career change? Pick up papers, begin to write books, begin to read books. Everybody has a capacity to do something. Gardening at home, cleaning up the compound, remodeling your bedroom, all sorts. Find things to do to keep your mental state alert and healthy. Now let's look at the other side of COVID-19. The reality is that it also provides governments an opportunity to reevaluate their countries. A lot of governments were caught unprepared, not just Africa, the whole world, but Africa particularly because of our resource base. And so our healthcare facilities are not in the best shape. We need to work on those. This is the time, this is the clarion call that health is so important that we must provide those facilities. So we need to begin to use whatever funds we have, whatever donations we get to begin to build permanent institutions. And private sector must jump into this. It's not just enough to donate money to government. Take on the bold leadership of building structures, of equipping them, of paying doctors, and naming it after your own businesses so that you can provide for the community. So it's a clarion call. We need to begin to do storages and store and provide and reserve for the uncertainties. Grain reserves, infrastructural reserves, equipment reserves, financial reserves. We need to begin to do that because the truth is that if this goes on for quite a while, there will be a lot of cataclysm all over the place. So we need to begin to provide for those rainy days. Savings has become more than ever before very, very critical and essential. In addition, it is a call for unity. The nice thing about COVID is that it has not made any distinction between the rich, the poor, on ethnic basis, on religious basis, age basis, nothing. It's going everywhere. It's a free-flowing virus. This is the time for us to break down the walls of separation in society, the walls of anger, the walls of hatred, the walls of almost family distancing that we have, and reach out and be one nation again and be able to provide for one another. So there's a lot that we can do and that we must do. And Africa, as a continent, must now come together and see what has happened. See how Europe came together to work. America versus almost a mini continent of its own, but working with Canada, they've also come together. Africa must learn to begin to put its resources collectively together and not depend only on foreign resources to help us out of our problems. We need to begin to talk to one another. How do we deal with pandemics when they happen? How do we set up response centers? How do we set up general reserves that can free flow everywhere? How do we reach out to the rich nations and helping the poor nations? How do we create a bastion of help for the rest of Africa? The positive thing about COVID is that it's given us a chance to step back and evaluate. From a personal level, evaluating what your career plans should be or your business plans should be, to a national level in terms of what your national responses and certainties and equipment should be, to a continental basis in terms of the continental relationships that you need to put in place to survive pandemics of this nature. So I bring you a message of hope, and that message says, do not despair, do not be afraid, fight, believe that you get up out of this, believe that there's God up there who ultimately is the giver of life and would deal with all these problems. But one thing that is more important, the most important things in life are free. Whether it's the air you breathe, whether it's the relationship you create, whether it is love in the air, whether it's association, they're all free. Whether it is hope, whether it's belief, whether it's dream. Latch onto those free attributes of life that God has sufficiently provided for and use that to booster yourself in these moments of despair. And I'm sure that if you do that, all of us working singularly and collectively will get out of this pandemic and will look again and begin life the way God intended that it should be. I wish you luck as you continue to prepare. Do not forget your exercises. I'm going for mine. Join me as I go. Do your exercises. Take care and God bless.